Hey, welcome back. I have a knife here, and this is the Vosteed Porcupine, which I received from Vosteed Knives to do a review. So let's take a look at it and see what we think. And I don't always accept reviews, knives, but this one actually had a really cool looking aesthetic to it that reminded me of one of my favorite knives. So I thought I would go ahead and check it out. It is $69, just released on Amazon. After the Porcupine has been officially released, January 15th to 30th would be perfect. So that's when they'd like it out. And it is 14C28N, and as you can see from the design, you probably know which one of my knives this reminds me of. Okay, got a nice typical little box, some stickers, a little raccoon in there. This one is a porcupine? No, I think it's actually a raccoon. I think they had a knife called the raccoon. I noticed their naming conventions are related. And they've sent some support info and some how-to on cleaning and whatnot, and warranty guarantees and all the fun stuff that you would hope for when buying a knife. And there it is. It is a button lock. The button feels great, and it makes me immediately want to go to unlock it with the frame because it looks so much like the Rosie, the Oz Roosevelt, that yeah, that's a nice design. If you know the channel, you know I'm a pretty big fan of that Oz Roosevelt. Wow, really good lockup on that. 14C20 and 28N blade steel. The button lock's very smooth, a little, taking a little breaking in, but it feels like it is on bearings. They have two handle material options, G10 or Micarta. It looks like I received a Micarta version. And you can see it's actually a button lock that is a push liner lock, so a top liner lock design there. Yeah, that's really nice. It rolls out. Thumb flicks out. Haven't even done the most important one. Whoop, flop that. Actually, that's interesting. Is that me or the fact that my finger is going so far into the hole or something? I just missed reverse flick 3 times in a row. I don't know if maybe I was hitting the button or something. Maybe I was hitting the button. Why would that shouldn't affect it there, right? Now the button's down anyways at this point. Interesting. Good jimping, a design that's well received in the market. Let's put a little comparison out here. We'll do some measurements and all those fun things. But the one that immediately it draws my attention to is the Oz Roosevelt. Very, very similar dimensions there. Let's put it side by side. It came with a nice little pouch, nice little cleaning rag. For $69, boy, you know, it's certainly reminiscent of a much more expensive knife. I actually just won my first Roosevelt lottery, and I'm excited to get my first brand new regular sized Oz Roosevelt. I bought all of them used, or my XL I got on the Facebook group when they dropped them there. So anyways, back to this. It's got a nice little satin finish on it. Let's just take a look if we hit this real quickly here with a cleaning cloth and see if it's got any grease on it or anything like that. Okay. Yeah, nice little grind on that, flat ground. Almost a full flat grind. It has just a little bit of flats here at the top. Boy, that is a freaking nice knife for $69. You would be hard-pressed to find something better for the price. You know, one of my favorite all-time knives made in China is going to be that CGRB Pyrite. Also kind of following the same sort of forward choil model, but this thing's a little more comfortable in hand yet and has that full round belly that you get with the Oz Roosevelt there. That is a you know, they're going for some good stuff there. Now it's not a frame lock, it's this top liner lock, so that definitely makes it different, a bit more of a button lock design. I'm still figuring out why I'm struggling a little bit with the reverse flick. Maybe I just need to have my finger a little less deep in there or something, and it's just getting stuck. I think that's what's happening, because this gets thinner. So you kind of go up in here and then it gets thinner and it pulls your finger into it a little bit there. So that's interesting. So if I were to give a design critique there to them, I would say keep that wide so that it doesn't suck your finger into it and kind of mess up the reverse flick. It's not going to happen to a lot of people. I got kind of skinny fingers, big hands, skinny fingers, kind of a interesting hand here. So probably not going to be an issue for just about anyone else. If I had to guess, or maybe some people with medium-sized hands or whatever that have fingers more like the size of mine in terms of the diameter. Mine are, you know, long. It's an XL size glove, but anyways, that little area right there kind of gets sucked in. But this is pretty well knocked down. It's definitely a little bit, a little rough around the edge. Like it could use like a little chamfer on it, but overall pretty good there. And then let's see if we can find something here to cut. Let me cut out a piece of paper to, actually, you know what? We will use one of these. Yeah, they know how to sharpen their knives. Yep, feels like a nice little edge on there. Not perfect, but it will cut for sure. An interesting jimping here. You've got the jimping here for the thumb, and then you've got forward jimping for like a pinch grip up there, which is kind of cool. I'll zoom in on that. Get this all cleared out here. My recycling bin. I do recycle on this channel. And then let's get some measurements on it. So some quick comparisons here to the Demco 8020.5. A little smaller there than the Demco. To that CGRB Pyrite. Pretty darn similar in size to that CGRB Pyrite, a little shorter. What else do we have here? Your Wee Knives Banter, another beauty made in China, a little bigger than the Banter there. And your Spyderco PM3, a little smaller than the Spyderco, although it has about the same amount or more of cutting edge, but smaller on the handle size there. Compared to the SPK Lamia. And the Benchmade Bug Out. All right, so definitely like kind of that mid-size, sort of Oz Roosevelt size knife there. Here's that Oz Roosevelt again, just to compare from this angle. So definitely in a sweet spot for EDC. So let's check some stats here on the measurements. We have cutting edge 2.875 of cutting edge and like a maybe just under 3-inch, maybe 3-inch blade. I think it said 2.99 on the sheet. Let me go double check again. They don't have the number right here, do they? Okay. Overall length of 7.25 inches overall length. Come back here, knife. You do have a reversible pocket clip and very interesting pins and braces throughout the whole thing. A lot of backspacer and then a hole for a lanyard there. Interesting how much hardware there is in there. I wonder how that's going to do on the weight. So let's check the weight of this bad boy. Definitely fidgety, fun to tinker with. 3.265, so like right in there again with that Oz Roosevelt, like within 10% of the weight of the Oz Roosevelt. Getting used to kind of not doing that thumb hole the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, not a lot to dislike about this guy. So perfectly centered there. This knife packs a punch for the dollars, I gotta say. This thing is a pretty sweet EDC knife, and you know, I don't do a ton of knives that come out of China, but when I saw this design, you know, I got a lot of respect for this design. And when you do that top liner, it kind of eliminates some of the button lock issues. So if you go look at the, see if we can find it here, there you go. Right, it gives you a nice bit of lock up there, so you're just very unlikely to have an issue with blade play. This thing is freaking solid. Really solid. And let's just double check if we can tell and confirm, but it looks like it's on bearings. Yeah, you can see the little balls in the bearings there. So that explains why it can lock up, but also drop shut. Very nice. Vosteed, thank you for sending that in. Definitely caught my eye. Definitely in line with what I look for in an EDC knife. Obviously made in China in this case, 14C28N. So you have to want that, but I got a feeling that overall this is a really good knife, and it's probably going to do the job and meet the needs for a lot of folks out there. You got a wire clip, by the way, steel liners it looks like. Let's just double check. Could be titanium, but yeah, steel liners there. Looks like I think it's a steel pocket clip. It doesn't give me a lot of traction on that, but interesting. Could be not steel, but I'm pretty sure it is. And it's just a nice little pocket carry there. I just threw it in the pocket here. Definitely strong on the wire clip. I was thinking maybe that would be a little bit like weak and it would fall out of the pocket, but it goes right in there. So yeah, overall good stuff here. I will go ahead and link the knife in the description, so feel free to use that link to grab it off of Amazon. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.